It is wonderful to have you here. Happy New Year to everybody. We are here on Tuesday, January 7th, here in the Athens-Clarke County City Hall for our monthly voting meeting of the Athens-Clarke County Commission and myself, the mayor. And we have a number of important things that we're going to do, particularly at the front end of this meeting, and then just a small handful of business items. So we hope to have everybody out to their individual celebrations before you know it. We have with us, we're blessed to have probate judge Susan Schaefer, who is going to administer oaths of office to 5 county commissioners. Of course, each of the county commissioners serves a 4-year term. The even-numbered county commissioners are midway through their time, and, they're about to begin a new term, and the odd-numbered county commissioners are midway through their term. And so we're going to begin with Judge Schaefer and newly elected District 6 Commissioner Stephanie Johnson, who's beginning her tenure on the
Just so y'all know, we already administered the official oath of county commissioner to all the incoming commissioners, and we're going to be conducting the loyalty oath. So if you will raise your right hand. I state your name.
Stephanie Johnson,
A citizen of the state of Georgia, and being an employee of Clarke County and the recipient of public funds for services rendered as such employee, do hereby solemnly swear and affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of Georgia. So help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And you take a seat. All right, and I'll now call forward those who are continuing service on the commission. For District 2, Melissa Link. For District 4, Allison Wright. For District 8, Carol Myers. And for District 10, Mike Hamby.
You too.
Oh, you're crazy, guy.
Say I. You can individually state your individual names, and then I will. Yes, ma'am. I state your name.
Melissa Link, Carol Myers, Allison Wright.
Mike Hamby.
A citizen of the state of Georgia, and being an employee of Clarke County and the recipient of public funds for services rendered as such employee, do hereby solemnly swear and affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of Georgia. So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Congratulations to everyone for a term here, serving the public. It's an honor and it's a wonderful commitment that all of you have made. Judge Schaefer, thank you for your time with us tonight. We appreciate it very much. All right, beginning the business portion of the meeting, after which we will have some introductions of some other prominent community members. We'll ask clerk to call the roll.
Davenport, Link,
Here.
Taylor, here. Wright,
Present.
Fisher, here. Johnson, here. Culpepper,
Here.
Myers, here. Thornton, here. Hamby. We have a quorum.
All right, thank you, Madam Clerk. I appreciate it. First item of business is approval of the minutes of meetings of Tuesday, December 3rd, Tuesday, December 10th, Tuesday, December 17th, and non-voting meetings on Tuesday, December 17th. Do I hear a motion for approval of those minutes?
Second.
All right, have a motion from Commissioner Thornton, and I have a second from Commissioner Myers. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? All right, hearing none, motion carried. All right, and note that Commissioner Johnson abstained, given it was prior to her time in office. All right, are there any written communications, Madam Clerk?
There are none.
Okay, I do need a motion at this point to amend the agenda to add as item 14, appointment of the interim manager.
So moved.
Second.
All right. I've got a motion from Commissioner Wright and second from Commissioner Link. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we'll pursue that as item 14. All right, we're very excited because in addition to 5 folks who've just been sworn in to the county commission for work on this policy-making body, we have some others who've taken office, and we want just a minute for them to introduce themselves to county commissioners and to the public at large. 3 folks who are here with us from the public sector, and then 2 who are partner agency leads. So the first of these, and I'll call him up to the podium so he can introduce himself, is Kulke Yalaman-Chile, who's our newly elected district attorney.
Thank you all.
DA, thank you. Good to
thank
have you
you.
here.
First, congratulations to everyone else who is assuming office in this new year with the opportunity to serve our community. I look forward to working with all of you and each of you. My name's Kulke Yalaman-Chile. I just took on the role of District Attorney for the Western Judicial Circuit, which covers Clarke County here, as well as Oconee County on January 1st of this year. I'm really excited about the opportunity to lead a group of people that will give this community the type of district attorney's office that we deserve, which is one of the best in the state of Georgia. I look forward to working with each of you on the commission, as well as the mayor, the county manager's office, and all the other elected servants of our community to make that a reality. Thank you again for the opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. District Attorney. We also would like to welcome very much, for his first time in the role, Coroner Michael Eberhard.
Good evening. I'd like to say congratulations to all the elected officials also. My name is Mike Eberhard. I'm your new coroner. I'm following in the footsteps of a man that's been in office for 16 years, so I got some big shoes to fill. I already hit the ground running, but I'd like to say this to Athens-Clarke County, not only the commission, but all the Athens-Clarke County community. It's going to take a team to get this job done. So I'm a sportsman and I'm a team player. So my prayer is that we will all work together as a team, Athens-Clarke County Commissioner, that we will get this job done and we will serve these families with dignity and respect. So once again, thank you all for electing me as your coroner of Athens-Clarke County. Thank you.
Thank you, Coroner.
I'm gonna have to go. I'm gonna have to go.
And last, in-house, newly elected, is our new tax commissioner, J.P. LeMay. J.P., welcome to the team.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners. Congratulations to the newly elected and re-elected folks. I am very humbled and honored to be taking the helm of an office that has been one of the best run in the state of Georgia for over 40 years. And it's a big legacy to come in behind, and I'm ready to take on this role. I'm looking forward to working with all of you, and well, that's it. I'm just looking forward to working with all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. In addition to those who've been newly elected, we also benefit from some additional community leaders who are strong partners of us. And the first of those who I'd like to introduce everybody to is newly installed by the Athens Housing Authority Board, their director, Sheila Crisp.
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. I want to say thank you for everything that, as reaching out to all the commissioners and partnershiping here with you and with the common goal of building more affordable housing. I look forward to working that continued relationship with you. I also would like to congratulate all the newly commissioners. And I just want to keep the door open and reach out when you guys need me. Thank you.
Thank you. We also want to welcome to the community newly installed Boys and Girls Club of Greater Athens Area CEO Shawana Coleman. Don't believe that Coleman can be with us tonight, but we want to welcome her to the community too. The Boys and Girls Clubs have been a strong partner, both in terms of their management of support of our youth and expanding opportunities, including those spaces in housing authority facilities that have been shuttered for many years. So when you see CEO Coleman, please welcome her to the community as well. Next order of business is adoption of an ordinance establishing the date, time, and place of regular meetings of the commission. I think Attorney Hines, you have an ordinance to read regarding this?
I do. This is item I on the agenda. An ordinance establishing the date, time, and place of regular meetings of the Commission of Athens-Clarke County, Georgia, and for other purposes.
All right, do I get a motion?
So moved.
Got a motion from Commissioner Fisher. Do you have a second? All right. A second from Commissioner Link. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? All right, hearing none, motion carries. And I apologize, everybody. Sheriff Williams, who is here beginning his next term, is here with us as well. Sheriff, come on down.
All right, thank you, everybody. I wasn't prepared for this, but all I'll say is it's good to be back. Looking forward to building on what we've started at CCSO and working in tandem with the commission and the community. So thank y'all, and God bless everybody.
Thank you, Sheriff.
And I think Ms. Shawana Coleman just came in as well.
Oh, Ms. Coleman, come on down. All right, as noted, the Boys and Girls Club Board has installed as CEO Shawana Coleman, who comes with us with a fantastic history of community support. Good to meet you, Ms. Coleman.
Thank you, thank you. I'm super excited to now be a part of the Athens community, especially serving as the CEO of the Boys and Girls Clubs of Athens, and I look forward to working with the entire community as well. Thank you again for the warm welcome that I've been getting from the entire community.
Glad to have you here. Thank you for being here. All right. We do have a couple opportunities for public input this evening. We're going to have public input on the consent agenda, which on your agenda are items 1 through 8. And then we're going to have public input opportunity on old and new business following that, which are items 9 through 14. And then at the conclusion of the meeting, we're going to have public input opportunity on any item of interest that is not on the agenda. So before we get to that, we do have one formality, and that is election of Mayor Pro Tem. And we have a nominating committee comprised of the current Mayor Pro Tem, Commissioner Thornton, the prior Mayor Pro Tem, former Mayor Pro Tem Myers, Commissioner Myers, and myself. And we have a nomination to put forward. And so Commissioner Thornton would like to put the nomination forward.
I'd like to make a nomination. First of all, I want to say it has been very informative serving as Mayor Pro Tem. I've learned a lot, and I think that it's a very important position, even though many people may not recognize it has great opportunities. But I'd like to nominate Commissioner Dexter Fisher as the next Mayor Pro Tem, starting tonight.
Is there a second?
I'd like to second that. And I just want to say I look forward to Commissioner Fisher's leadership. He's well-positioned to be in that, and I think we've all worked well with him, so I'm looking forward to that as well.
Thank you. All right. We have a motion. We have a second. All right. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? All right. Hearing none, motion carries. Welcome to the role, Commissioner Fisher. We really appreciate your willingness to do this. All right, and we have a great deal of wonderful work ahead of us, including a handful of items tonight. So again, that first opportunity for public input is regarding the consent agenda items. And in every opportunity for public input tonight, there's an opportunity for up to 3 minutes. You see a light in front of the clerk. It turns green when you begin speaking, yellow when you have 30 seconds remaining, and red when your 3 minutes has expired, and we'll thank you for your time with us. So is there anybody here who is with us tonight who would like to speak to any of those consent agenda items? Again, that's items 1 through 8. Would anyone like to speak to any of those 8 items? Seeing none, would any commissioner like to remove an item from the consent agenda?
I would, Mr. Mayor, I would like to remove, just for a comment and a question for numbers 1, 2, 5, 5, and 6.
All right, so 1, 2, 5, and 6 will move to discussion. All right, and so we are prepared to have a vote on items 3, 4, 7, and 8. There are ordinances associated with items 3 and 4. Attorney Hines, could you read those ordinances for us, please?
Yes, one moment.
Sorry, I'm hard of hearing, I can't. But are we asking for public opinion on the
On the consent agenda, so items 1 through 8.
items 1 through 8? So I'd like to speak for the recovered materials and processing reuse facility. Is that?
That is on the consent agenda? Yep.
Okay,
Go right
awesome.
ahead.
I'm sorry. But yeah, so Suzanne Warren Feltz, 175 Dunwoody Drive, Athens, Georgia. I live on the east side of Athens, and Patrick Davenport is my representative. So I'd like to state my support for the facility, the recovered materials and processing and reuse facility, that it be solar-ready from the initial construction. I believe that's in the plans, but I'd just like to bring that to your attention that there are some people out there who really want it to be built that way. In 2019, the mayor and commission signed the 100% clean and renewable energy resolution, and the goal of that is to have all of the ACC government facilities energized by clean and renewable energy by 2035, and that just doesn't seem all that far away from me. So, and right now, because solar has been, there have been many advances in the production of solar, it is now the cheapest way to produce electricity, so we can take advantage of that and meet some of our goals by creating this facility solar-ready from the onput. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Warren Feltz. Is there anyone else who would like to speak to any of those consent agenda items, again, 1 through 8? All right, and Attorney Hines will read ordinances for items 3 and 4 before we take a vote on 3, 4, 7, and 8.
Yes, the ordinance for item 3 reads, an ordinance to amend the special purpose local option sales tax 2011 program budget so as to provide additional funding for project number 32, cost of building renovation, and for other purposes. The ordinance for item 4 reads, an ordinance to amend the FY 2025 operating and capital budget for Athens-Clarke County, Georgia, so as to provide grant funding, if awarded, from the Georgia State Road and Tollway Authority, Georgia Transportation Infrastructure Bank grant, and for other purposes.
Thank you, Attorney Hines. All right, do I hear a motion for approval of the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All right, I've got a motion from Commissioner Davenport and second from Commissioner Taylor. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, hearing none, motion carries. All right, and we're going to move to public input now on old and new business. So given that we have items 1, 2, 5, and 6 moving to discussion, public input now is on items 1, 2, 5, 6, and 9 through 14. Would anyone like to speak to any of those items? 1, 2, 5, 6, and 9 through 14. And again, if you state your name, the item to which you're speaking, and your 3-minute time will begin. Good evening.
Good evening. Joan Roden, Happy New Year to all of you. I'm starting the new year off by saying that item number 11, the fiscal year 25 housing counseling funding recommendations, warm my heart. I've spent a lot of time with former mayoral candidate Benny Coleman talking about housing and affordable housing, and how if people had more information about how to own a home, what to do to get it started, if there was counseling in that arena, there would be more people who would stand up and say, I think I can do this. So it warmed my heart when I looked at number 11 and said, housing counseling. It did concern me that if we waited till fiscal year 2025 to put this on an agenda, but I'm thrilled that there will be that counseling opportunity, and look forward to maybe sitting in to see the kind of information that's being given out. It's something that's desperately needed, and I think that we'll see a lot of good things come from that kind of counseling.
Thank you, Ms. Roden. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Sarah Rupersberg. I live at 170 Virginia Avenue. I'd like to speak about agenda item number 9, the all-way yield at Nacoochee and Boulevard. We, as a neighborhood, sort of just realized this was going to take place when some signs were posted notifying us that there was going to be a change. And I first want to thank Transportation and Public Works for taking some time to look into this intersection because it really is concerning. And I noticed on the background notes on this agenda item that they had mentioned a few different entities who had asked for it to be looked into. And one of the notes that wasn't included was the meeting that we held as a neighborhood that Melissa hosted for us to talk about traffic and public safety in our neighborhood in general. And a big part of the conversation that night was how difficult it is for families getting their kids to school to cross that intersection. And I've heard from a number of folks and in our neighborhood that turning this to an all-way yield might be good for cars, but we don't see how this is going to help people who have to cross that street to get to school every day get there safely. So we would request that the mayor and commission take some time to get the rationale behind why they're making this change. And we'd also like to ask, and I'd also like to ask for y'all to think a little bit more like comprehensively and long-term about making that intersection safer for all users, not just cars. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Rupersberg. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Barbara Daniel. I'm back here in 2025 asking about affordable homes, and I'm hoping this year that some affordable homes will be put up because I've been here going on 3 years and I hadn't received any affordable homes. So this year, by God will, that we will have affordable homes put back in Athens so we can have a lot of people off the streets. I stand here in solidarity of prayer that the Lord had put on my heart to bring to you all. It's time, and it's time, and it's time, and it's time now to make that change. We have no more time playing around because we need these homes for these students that go into Seashore, Clark Central, middle school, elementary school, that don't have homes. So I'm asking and I'm begging you, but I'm gonna make this my last time begging that affordable home because the master said I shouldn't have to beg because poor need to live here just as well as rich. So I want affordable home, I want to see affordable home, and I know the good Lord gonna put something in front of me that we may receive them so kids can go to school without going in the bushes, going in the bathroom, changing clothes, don't have food to eat. This is ridiculous. Now I'm standing in solidarity again, asking y'all that the Lord said, don't forget about the poor, because we seem to be getting about the poor. So in Jesus' name, I stand in front of y'all, affordable home. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Daniel. Is there anyone here to speak to any other item of old or new business? All right, we'll move to commission discussion. First item is number 1. This is an ordinance for the Georgia Department of Transportation Local Maintenance and Improvement Grant application submittal. And Commissioner Johnson, you asked that this be removed for discussion.
Yes, this is before me, but I just wanted to comment on these two items, agenda items number 1 and 2, specifically because they involve GDOT. And along with the GDOT requirements that we have as a unified government, they require us to have a Title VI coordinator that's in place to recruit and promote the contracts that are available once SPLOST projects have been approved and when they start. It's been questionable over the years how to get started with that process, who to speak with about that process. So we've had a Title VI coordinator on the books for a number of years, but we've not had someone to actively work that job. So I just wanted to highlight the trade-off with receiving the funds is to have someone in place. That's what we say we will do. Currently, we have a vacancy, I understand, in the People and Belonging Department, But I would like us to think about someone serving in that capacity in an interim basis as the Title VI coordinator position. It really is a position for one person, not an office, and not as an afterthought. And the state takes it seriously when I've spoken to them over the years about this role. And at the end of the day, in order for us to continue to receive funds, we have to show that we are complying with the contract, and that's been missing. So that role, and I think it has a way to backdoor into some of the challenges that we've seen with the disparity study. Had we had someone as a Title VI coordinator over the years, this person would meet those challenges as they arise. When you look at our Athens-Clarke County website, when you type in Title VI coordinator, nothing comes up. And so I just wanted to bring that to your attention. I won't be voting on it, but it's important to follow that, get in line, and I think it will address a lot of the issues that people have challenges with.
Manager Jones, are you able to access some information either tonight or in the coming days about our Title VI work?
Certainly, I'd like to respond back in writing because I want to make sure I get you a thoughtful response, and I appreciate you bringing that up.
Thank you.
Commissioner Thornton?
Maybe it's just me, but could you tell me what the generic role or the responsibility of a Title VI coordinator is?
It's pretty vast. Currently, the Title VI coordinator resides in our HR department. In my time here, I know we have put an agenda item forward to take the position from, at the time, inclusion and diversity into HR. So that position is responsible for a number of things. For example, on federal projects, some of the things that Commissioner Johnson spoke to. If I could, though, I would like to respond in writing.
Thank you, and I want to thank the new commissioner for bringing that to our attention, because I do think we do a lot of things that probably already on the books that we could do. So thank you, Commissioner Johnson.
Would anyone like to make a motion for approval of this item?
So moved. Second.
All right, got a motion from Commissioner Wright, and I've got a second from Commissioner Myers. Any further discussion? All in favor? There is an ordinance associated with this. Yes, thank you, Attorney Hines.
So the ordinance for item 1 reads as an ordinance to amend the FY 2025 operating and capital budget for Athens-Clarke County, Georgia, so as to provide grant funding, if awarded, from the Georgia Department of Transportation Local Maintenance Improvement Grant, LMIG, for resurfacing roadways and for other purposes.
Thank you. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Abstain.
Commissioner Johnson will abstain. Please note that for the record. All right, item 2 is an ordinance regarding the 2025 Georgia Department of Transportation Transit Trust Fund. Additional remarks on this, Commissioner Johnson?
It would be the same, sir. I would like, one additional announcement. Interim Manager Nikki Jones, if it's possible to think about whoever is in that role right now. It's such an important role for the overall achievement of leveling the playing field when it comes to contracts and whatnot, or applying for contracts. So I'm curious if it's possible, not right now, but down the line, have someone in place to provide the body with maybe quarterly reports on. I've read, like, the contract is over 100 pages just in that 500-page document just for the Title VI coordinator. So like you said, it is extensive. But to have someone maybe put together just a short one-page document on a quarterly basis to share with us the efforts that they've undertaken in order to comply with that program.
Certainly, I think it's a good idea. Also, in that update, we could include some of the work that our folks in procurement are doing as well, as far as the Minority Women Business Enterprise Program.
Thank you.
Commissioner Thornton?
Well, I guess this is going to be relevant for all of the items up until 8, but I think, and if it wasn't you, Mr. Jones, it had to be former manager Williams. We talked about Jacobs having a component in their contract that is supposed to designate diversity. And I want to say it had to be Mr. Williams, because you're looking at me real strange. So I guess my point is, please look at Jacob's contract, because I do believe there is something in there written as far as procurement and diversity, which we have never discussed or followed up on. So while you're pulling this Title VI, I would like for you to also look at Jacob's contract, and we've had them for 20 years. So just let me know, but
Do you want to know what the contract says specifically, or are you looking for something particular?
it's something in there about diversity. There's a commitment. Andrew, you shaking your head. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Vaguely, yes. So I was on the selection committee that the mayor put together for engaging Jacobs as our T-SPLOST vendor. And all of those proposals had some ideas on how they could support minority and small business outreach. And so I think what we need to go back and confirm for you is what's in the contract and then what activities are happening in that space.
I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, do I hear a motion for approval of item 2?
So moved.
Second.
All right, I've got a motion from Commissioner Wright and a second from Commissioner Taylor. Any further remarks?
Nope. Ready to vote?
All in
And then
favor, please
this one
say.
also does have an ordinance,
Oh,
I'm sorry.
this has an ordinance as well. We'll get that read.
The ordinance for item 2 reads, an ordinance to amend the FY 2025 operating and capital budget for Athens-Clarke County, Georgia, so as to provide grant funding from the Georgia Transit Trust Fund through the Georgia Department of Transportation for transit projects and for other purposes.
All right, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Abstain.
All right, no abstention from Commissioner Johnson. All right, item 5 is the SPLOST 2020 Project 1 Facilities Modernization, and Commissioner Johnson asked that this be removed from consent agenda.
I just wanted to point out that this agenda item is for space modernization, and I was looking for a document that I printed before I left home, and I can't find it. But the primary or more urgent issue is the repair of the elevators. What I understand about the history of the meetings over the years is that the judges started conversations about SPLOST 2020 5 years before the actual referendum. So it speaks to the importance of the renovations of the courthouse. And to start, we've not had any movement with this particular one on the SPLOST 2020 project. It was actually labeled, it's listed as number 1, but there's very few movement with it, very little, movement with advancing the completion of this project. This elevator issue is a serious issue, but it's not an urgent issue. And I mean, what I mean by that is it's been ongoing for a very long time. It's presented to us now as urgent. But what I'm wondering, what I would like to know more about is how we can get this back on the table for discussion. I know that there were a couple of years where there were regular meetings about the Judicial Center, and ideally what the judges were looking for. There were site selection meetings, and then all of a sudden it stopped. I don't think the site selection committee met related to the Judicial Center one time last year, the 2024 calendar year. That's really critical to have to pinch off the funding for projects that represent or present as urgent is not a great use of the funding, because built into the actual description for this project, the SPLOST project, is actually these things. So had we stayed on course and gotten into the process of doing the work,
I'd identify a couple of activities underway, and then I think management team may be able to kind of follow up. The site selection group identified as the optimal site, the federal property across the street. And so when that was identified, we then engaged with a government affairs team who now is working with us to discuss with the General Services Administration, which is the property management arm of the federal government, acquiring that property. And so that's underway now, so that we would have more space to work with that will be optimally located in the center of the community. And the vision always has been that the existing courthouse, the current courthouse, will transition to a broad-based municipal center into which we can collect a lot of our functions, like those that are in distant buildings, like housing, community development, and finance. And so for any user, current users of the courthouse or forthcoming users, we're going to need those functioning elevators and a solid roof and a good HVAC system. So this is going to serve us in the long term regardless of the end user. I don't know if Manager Jones or Assistant Manager.
Certainly. Conceptually, I'll provide a couple of comments, and I'll defer to Assistant Manager Saunders here. Facilities, we have a better understanding of what we need now at the courthouse. But as the mayor said, it's kind of a two-pronged issue, right? So we're trying to be able to renovate the existing courthouse while positioning ourselves to construct a brand-new judicial center. So we have to locate where we're going to put the judicial center. In all of this, we know we don't have enough funding to do both.
Sure.
Since the SPLOST was approved, cost escalation has occurred, COVID, and all those good things. So what we plan to do in the future is probably bridge SPLOST. So in 2028, I think we all need to prepare ourselves to bridge SPLOST, to have another SPLOST for the judicial center. And, you know, I don't know the total cost for the renovation of the existing courthouse, and for that, I would defer to Assistant Manager Saunders.
So I've seen estimates on the judicial center for renovating the facility. Depending on the scope of what's being done, you can expect that renovation to be between $7 and $12 million. And a lot of that will depend on timeline as well. Certainly, as the mayor said, the investments that are in this sub-project, most of them are things that would be covered in a comprehensive renovation. You are also correct, Commissioner, that I, in Central Services, started to defer maintenance early in SPLOST at the courthouse and other facilities, although not specifically to the elevators, because we didn't want to make tax dollar investments where we knew we might be abandoning or otherwise terminating our use in facilities. And approximately 18 months ago, we had to change course on that because we had no more Band-Aids to apply. And so we've started to reinvest in our buildings, but we still do so thoughtfully. We try to minimize waste. And so one example is in the buildings that we know that we're going to vacate, we have changed our painting regimes and our flooring regimes so that we're not putting brand new flooring in something that's going to be a 5-year asset.
Commissioner Thornton?
I assume this is just open discussion. Do we own the DFAX building and the Department of Labor building? Are those ours?
So, you know, we are specifically talking about
But I just want to
this
know.
courthouse.
Okay.
But
just-
in terms of kind of other facilities, Department of Labor is owned by a separate public authority, but the DFAX building on North Avenue is owned by the unified government.
I'm struggling too with this one, but I'll support it, but I do hope we get some more follow-up.
Yeah, Commissioner Fisher.
Yeah, and I think the bottom line is I think we need to really concentrate on getting those elevators fixed. I'm not sure what timeline that we're on, but I think it's critical that we do that as soon as possible. Me being a former facilities guy, I'm not understanding why those elevators went down when they went down. I'm not sure what was the maintenance on that over the years, and it's really sort of embarrassing that this has happened. So we really got to, I think we need to get on top of this and make that a priority, that we get those elevators fixed and get them up and running. Because, I mean, the courts, they can't operate, and it's essential that we have our courts being operational and stuff. So I'm hoping that you all will bring back to us sometime in the very near future, what timeline are we looking at when the elevator is going to be ready and up and running?
And I understand that we at least have sort of an outside sense of when that will be. I don't know if one of you could kind of mention sort of what that time horizon looks like for the elevator specifically.
Yes, we may remain in regular contact with our vendor who's doing the elevators. We have approved design and fixtures. All 3 elevators are in production right now. All 3 elevators will not be delivered at once, and quite frankly, we just need one really reliable one to start with, and that takes some of the pressure off. We are working with them to target that work would begin around May, and they've told us it could take 10 to 12 weeks. We continue to ask what we could do to put in some extra hours work, double shifts, anything that could make that faster. I am also happy to report, and you'll get this in a comprehensive update, that over the Christmas break, we were able to bring in a fairly skilled custom welder, and they put one elevator back into commission where the doors had physically been broken by the users. And so I know that the court users are grateful for that. But if that elevator goes down again, we will be back to a condition of using 2 floors maximum in the courthouse with ADA accessibility.
All right. Any other questions about this item? All right, I'd entertain a motion for approval.
Second.
All right, I've got a motion from Commissioner Wright and second from Commissioner Davenport. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Another abstention from Commissioner Johnson. All right, we're moving on to item 6, Commissioner.
I thought I no longer want to keep it off.
All right,
That's fine.
would somebody like to make a motion for approval of item 6?
Second.
All right, got a motion for approval of item 6 from Commissioner Davenport, and I have a second from Commissioner Taylor. Any remarks?
Ready to see this get built?
So it's me.
All right, any others? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Abstain.
All right, abstention from Commissioner Johnson. All right, moving on to old business. Item number 9, we had some public input on. I know we've received some email correspondence. Commissioner Link, I know you wanted to make a motion to hold. Would you like to do that at this point?
Yeah. I will make a motion to hold. Now, I do want to thank staff for, quite quickly paying attention to this intersection. We did have a meeting last month with the neighborhood. There are quite a few concerns in the neighborhood about traffic and pedestrian safety issues because we have lots and lots and lots of children walking to Burks Elementary School every day. But there's a lot of confusion. Signs popped up over the holiday indicating that there would be a yield sign on Nacoochee, although this agenda item calls for a 4-way yield. We believe there's going to be some confusion, and that may only make pedestrian safety even less so. But staff, the agenda item notes, and staff has made clear, I've had communication with staff and quite a few residents, that the intersection is undergoing a more comprehensive analysis for, all kinds of potential pedestrian improvements and traffic calming devices potentially. So I'm just asking that we hold this until that comprehensive analysis is complete so we can see a fully incorporated, improved intersection that will, hopefully include some clear crosswalks and even clearer traffic direction from both sides and improve some sight lines potentially. There's some additional parking issues that have arisen in the neighborhood with a church that's become more active and definitely some additional residential parking. So to avoid confusion and to assure that we get the most ideal enhanced intersection, it's best that it just all comes up at once. So we'll put this on hold until that full analysis comes forward and some further recommendations are included in it.
All right, we've a motion to hold from Commissioner Link. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, I've got a second from Commissioner Thornton. Any remarks, Commissioner Thornton?
No.
Any others? All right, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, hearing none, motion carries. All right, item 10 is the Newton Bridge Road TAD Advisory Committee identified priority list, and composed a motion that would further advance that we use one of our on-call designers to utilize the input from the committee to have a design that we can work with some future funding as yet to be identified. Is there a motion on the floor?
I make a motion that we take the TAD Advisory Committee priorities to move this project forward.
Second.
Got a motion from Commissioner Fisher. Got a second from Commissioner Thornton. Mr. Fisher, any further remarks?
Yes, I do want to note, I do agree with what our TAD Advisory Committee is going to put forth. I would, and I know, and when I was reading the history, I noticed that some of these things was happening before I became on the commission. And with this going on, I didn't really get an opportunity to have a lot of input into this particular project. Also, in my T-SPLOST package that I am submitting by January 10th, some of these recommendations are part of my, that I want to see forward with what the advisory committee had recommended. So, and I guess my question is, maybe this should be a T-SPLOST project more so than anything else. But again, I think we need to have further discussion on that, to talk about that, to make sure that we're all on the same page, and hopefully that myself and maybe my colleague, Commissioner Thornton, can drive this with a possible commission-defined option. But again, I do agree with the concept, what they got and some of the things that they're putting in here, but I would like to have a little bit more time to decipher this and making sure that we're all on the same page.
I'll note, one of the phenomenon within either SPLOST projects or TAD-funded projects is that you may have multiple funding streams. So it may be the case that if there's a pure SPLOST project, that the state may do some co-funding. It may be the case that if there was TAD funding, some additional funds might be necessary from other sources. But the bottom line goal is to be able to find a design that we know is going to provide greater access and greater safety for those users. Commissioner Thornton.
Well, I am also very impressed that the TAD committee is looking at infrastructure. I definitely am going to support their recommendation. Almost like Commissioner Fisher, this is new. This was not my district originally. I do not support, and I guess I need clarity. I don't support a mayor's defined option, but I do support the TAD advisory's recommendations. Does that make sense? Is that what your motion was, sir?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Commissioner Myers.
Yeah, I'd like to make a substitute motion to support the mayor-sponsored option for this.
I'll second that.
Okay, substitute motion from Commissioner Myers, second from Commissioner Link. Commissioner Myers?
Yeah, I think this really accepts the TAD Advisory Committee's recommendations, but it also does that first step for engaging a designer to do some preliminary work on some of these enhancements in that corridor that are probably ones that are also included, perhaps might be in T-SPLOST projects and would have to be included, done further along the line anyway. So I'm happy to get this moving forward. As I've noted, there are many things that have come up before the commission, even before I came on 4 years ago, where I'm still waiting to see them. So anything we could do to move things along a little faster, I'm happy to be part of that.
Commissioner Link?
Yeah, I represented this area, this entire corridor for 8 years. And, you know, we've had a handful of fatalities at those Cathwood and Vincent Drive intersections. And there's also a great deal of development going on in that corridor. We've had lots of housing go up, and the whole West Clocks development, Terrapin is very active. We have the roundabouts coming in on Chase. There's a tremendous amount of activity it's ramping up now and in the immediate future. And the idea of there's absolutely no pedestrian access along the corridor aside from what West Clocks has provided, that really nice shared use path along their development. And there are, couple hundred new residents in there. And, I just feel like it's urgent that we get that safe pedestrian accessibility along this, what is often a very high-speed corridor. I ride it pretty regularly. I feel like often traffic moves at a speed that is inappropriately fast for a narrow road with some curves in it. Any pedestrian who's navigating the side of that road, if they were to get hit, they're gone. And there's absolutely no bike access at that. We're going to have really great bike access from the Barber Street corridor as well as the Chase Street corridor. That includes shared use paths. And it's just going to come to a halt just past the West Clocks development, and yet you have hundreds and thousands of residents living in the Vincent Drive and Cathwood areas that will have no access to that. I believe the sooner we can get that sidewalk built, we have this TAD mechanism to get the funds, and it's very common to utilize TADs as a borrowing mechanism, and I thank the mayor for coming up with this concept to get this built sooner rather than later, and I really believe lives can be saved the sooner we get this up.
Commissioner Fisher.
Yeah, again, I don't disagree with what we're trying to do. The issue I got with how we gonna fund it. And are we gonna ask the taxpayers to fund this, or are we gonna use the T-Splosh project to fund this? And again, I agree, I think the bike paths are gonna be wonderful. I think, I also drive that corridor pretty often. It's a dangerous intersection, there's no question about that. I think though, because I do represent that area now, that we need to have more discussion about it. That's all I'm saying. And then we can figure out how we want to fund it. I'm not trying to kill this project. I think it's a very important project that we have in District 5 and along with District 9 and even part of District 6. So I'm not against the project. My thing is how we get it funded. And, you know, with the TAD project, if we're going to go down this road, looking at possibly getting low-interest loans or even getting grants, or we're going to do that for every TAD project. So we just need to be mindful of how we go about doing our business. So that's all I'm saying.
Just to be clear, the substitute motion would defer a funding decision to a later point and would simply provide a design from which any funding mechanism could be plugged into. So, Commissioner Thornton.
Well, I do, again, I think this is great. I'm glad the mayor at least put it out there for discussion, but I don't think a discussion today that requires a vote is the proper place. I think this should have been at a retreat or a work session, and I have asked 1,000 times not to ask me to vote for something that I don't have. I never heard of a mayor's defined option since I've been. I'm sure it's in the charter somewhere, but we have never used a mayor's defined option. And quite honestly, Mayor, we already have, 1, 2, 3. We have 3 TADs kinda in operation, and none of them are functional yet. We don't know the pros and the cons of any of that. We have no problem asking taxpayers to pay for things that I can't explain. I just want to be able to explain why we do things and why we should do them. So I'm not against it. I wish we would have tabled this so we could find more, just like we tabled the Boulevard one. I wish we would have tabled this so we could get a better understanding of what is being asked and support that community. That community is growing. It is growing. We don't have no room to make no mistakes. And I already know that we're going to have another concern that's going to come up about another TAD. Are we going to, take a loan or write a grant for them? We still have the arena stuff in East Athens. If anybody should be getting a loan, it should be District 3 to get something going. So no, I'm not, explain it to me, make it make sense to me, so when these people ask me why I did that, I can explain it. And I can't because we just got this information. And this TAD, this area covers 3 districts, and only one person, besides the advisory committee, no commissioners had any input whatsoever. So that's it.
I just identify one of the beauties of having multiple TADs is that we don't have a zero-sum game, so we can pursue multiple aims simultaneously. And that's why we have user groups for each one of the TADs, so that people who have stake in those places as residents or business owners or property owners can provide us some input as this group has. Commissioner Myers and then Commissioner Johnson.
Yeah, I just wanted to reiterate, we'll move forward whichever way this goes, but this is not funding for the project. This is an acceptance of the recommendations, and it's taking the recommendations and doing a preliminary design, visionary, which I think will be very not in a lot of detail. These are areas where we also are including on our sidewalk and bike master plan, so they're not, and we've discussed them with some of the developments that have gone on along this corridor already, that these were coming down the line. So yes, I assume at some other time, we would then be voting on a budget item to fund, or is there funding in this budget item? Perhaps I can ask you
No,
that.
there's no funding in this. This would ask the manager to come back in the future with a funding recommendation.
But for the on-call designer for number 2. So we're not even, I'm just talking about the preliminary design part of number 2.
Conceptually, that would use some of the existing TAD revenues that right now are accruing to more than $200,000 a year to use one of our on-call design teams.
Perhaps it would be helpful if we had a cost estimate on that, so we know what we're talking. Is there, would it be possible for me to change my motion to put this on hold for another month?
So
Parliamentary?
if the substitute motioner and the seconder would like to modify their motion to a hold, that would be
And then perhaps
possible.
the rest of the commission could understand this, because it was a busy time of the year. We've started a new year, Christmas, there are all those things in there. So this would give us more time to understand the components of it, because it is not a funding recommendation. It actually just asks for a funding recommendation for possible use sometime down the road.
So you'd like to modify your substitute motion to a hold?
Right, to hold this to,
Is
I'll
that
gladly
acceptable with the
second that.
I second that too.
All right. And then Commissioner Johnson was next.
Thank you, Mayor. So I want to start with the on-call design team to utilize the committee recommendations to develop a design enhancing safety and providing multimodal access. So I'm failing to conceptualize what an on-call design team looks like. It doesn't, the on-call yields a sense of urgency to put on call in front of something. This is just a consulting design team. Also, on call sounds like more money, as in outside of the regular business hours. I don't have enough information to make a solid decision. And I'm doing a lot of abstentions tonight. It is because I wasn't here for some of the conversation, but there are some things that I would like to see, like some of the other commissioners stated tonight, of more filled in blanks. And I know from a different perspective, when I campaigned and answered questions, there are people who are engaged who are not interested in coming down here to tell us. They don't understand, they've stopped caring, and it is because no one can answer their questions. There are 10 of us, and we need to feel that we have all of the information to answer the questions, even if it's so far out to say this is 8 years out down the road. However, we're going to start with I don't agree with an on-call anything, but a design team to enhance the safety and whatnot. I think that makes sense to me, and I can explain that. We don't have to like it. We just have to understand how to communicate that to our constituents. And that's what I hear a couple of the commissioners stating, is the lack of the full package of information. I note that we get dribs and drabs. You get this much information and wait to the next one. Sometimes it's just better to provide the overarching picture, and then we understand this is phase 1 of that picture, phase 2. And that would really help me in my new role to understand how to explain and how to vote, how to deliberate with my fellow colleagues.
So one of the ways that local government provides a lot of professional services is to have a lot of private sector entities just ready, at the ready. Those may be design services like architects. Those may be transportation planners. Sometimes those may be kind of finance professionals. And so because we've essentially pre-approved those individuals, then we could say, hey, we've got this specific job for you to do. In this case, we've got this corridor where we'd like to see a design based on the input provided by this resident group that we've called together of property owners and homeowners, so that we can advance the cause. So.
I just have one last comment. I looked for about an hour this afternoon on all the public comments for a variety of departments for a variety of reasons, and I noted the small numbers, most of the time less than 50, even if it was multi-meetings or opportunities to come out for public input. That is a very small number to make a really big decision on, and I parallel that to individuals in the community who, like grassroots advocacy. When I attend these meetings, their programming, it's as high as 50 to 75 members at each event. I don't know how they do it and why they're successful. They don't work for the government, but they believe in what they are advocating for. I would like to to make a decision based on citizen input when you only have 38 people or 25 people, it's still not a wise decision to me. And I know that's not here or there for about tonight. I'm just saying, generally speaking.
So conceptually, be interested in some feedback from staff about how we can gain better or
Better. Yes, sir.
larger scale public input.
Yes, if we know individuals in the community who have their own nonprofits or their own advocacy groups that yield large numbers, how did they get them out? It would be worth our while to talk with them, just to pick their brain to see where did you engage, how did you engage? Because I've attended several meetings and the house is full and people are talking, they're asking questions, and they're well moderated, it's very organized, and I've not seen that.
Commissioner Culpepper.
Yeah, the cost is what I was concerned about, is what it's gonna cost if we're gonna get somebody to design it, it's gonna cost something. We need to have an idea of what that's gonna cost. Are they gonna do a master plan, or to what extent that is, and also what the cost would be for the actual project.
All right, there's a motion on the floor to hold and a second. All right, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, hearing none, motion carries. All right, we're going to move on to item number 11, and this is our FY25 Housing Counseling Funding Recommendations. And so the large bolus of funds for housing counseling were approved as part of our first Tuesday of June FY25 overall budget. And then, of course, we went out to bid for the specific services, and we've received those bids, and we're ready for approval for these two vendors today. Is there a motion?
I'll move to approve.
Second.
All right, I've got a motion from Commissioner Link, a second from Commissioner Myers. Commissioner Link, any remarks?
Yeah, I'm eager to see this funding being put to good use. There's definitely a need for more housing counseling, and we have been providing funds to our certified affordable housing providers for quite some time to provide this service, and hopefully this can enhance that even more. And they have served hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of individuals in recent years, and will serve hundreds more.
Anything further, Commissioner Myers?
Yeah, I just was going to reiterate the same thing, and in fact, I think it was today or this weekend or Friday, we got a report in terms of one of the housing counseling providers that gave stats for 4 years. So I know one of the speakers earlier had referred to, like, this is good, we're doing this for the first time. In fact, I mean, if I added that up, there were probably 600, 800 people served. Anyone who is interested in that information, feel free to reach out, and I can share that with you.
Anything else from members of the body? All right, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, hearing none, motion carries. All right, we have 2 items of new business. I do need a motion for suspension of rules.
So moved.
All right, I've got
Second.
a motion from Commissioner Thornton and a second from Commissioner Myers. Item 12 is an amendment to the intergovernmental agreement regarding the loan previously provided to the Athens Housing Authority for the North Downtown Athens project, the first phase of which is about to open. Do I have a motion for approval?
So,
Second.
All right, I've got a motion from Commissioner Fisher.
Get it out fast enough.
And I got a second from Commissioner Thornton. Commissioner Fisher, any remarks?
Yeah, and this is just an ongoing IGA that we have with them, right?
Correct.
Okay, yeah.
Commissioner Thornton?
I'm just really excited. It was so much negativity at first about even trying to attempt this type of housing. And I know it's still not there. I know we still got to get some places. But have folks started moving in yet?
Not yet, but I think
Not
that's
yet.
very soon.
And I did get to see some of the sample, like, visiting when we were just going through the initial process, and I imagine they're just as beautiful as the ones that I've seen in Atlanta, so, because I didn't get to go through the walkthrough. But we should be proud of that. We should be proud that it's still low income with some variations, and we should be proud that it's still downtown. So, I'm just real happy to make that second. Like I said, I couldn't get that first out.
All in favor? Oh, Commissioner Link.
Yeah, I just want to thank Athens Housing Director, Ms. Crisp, and everyone associated with this project for the tour that we got late last month. It's beautiful. I'm really excited about this project. I want to thank the mayor, who this was kind of his dream child many years ago to see to it that we could greatly increase our capacity of affordable housing downtown and really improve housing circumstances for hundreds of people. And they're beautiful units. Anyone would be happy and proud to live there. And they've done a great job with this stormwater facility. That's a lovely park with wildlife and native plants. And it's really, really enhancing this community and providing housing for regular people downtown. Not student housing, but regular workforce housing for regular working Athenians.
Commissioner Taylor, will you?
Yes.
Yeah.
I did the tour as well. Thank you to everyone who put the tour together. Those are some beautiful units. But I'm me, so. I just want to make sure, because there has been a lot of money put into this development, but we also should take into account all of the residents who have lived in poor living conditions, squalor, because they are waiting on this development to finish. My statement tonight is, no matter how beautiful these apartments are, we need to make sure all of the residents of Bethel Homes who have been displaced or who's still sitting there now are able to get into these apartments. I don't want us to look on Facebook and we see that there has been a family who's went through a lot of stuff and didn't get approved for an apartment for whatever reason. And so, yes, they are beautiful, and yes, it is still downtown, and regular folks will be able to live in them. But the people who have been there, who has sat there, dealt with management, dealt with code enforcement, dealt with all of the things that they've dealt with, those are the ones who should be able to reap the benefits of this new construction. And so I just want to go on record by saying, let's make sure all of our residents who are there now or who's been displaced, who would like to go back home, are able to get into those apartments.
Commissioner Davenport.
I just got a scrivener's note. It says 700,000 and 600,000. What am I missing?
You got what?
You see in one place it notes 700,000.
There's a whereas where it says 700.
I believe 600, is that correct? Yeah. And so the attorney's office can make sure that's trued
The
up. Thanks for
second,
noting
top
that,
of the second
Commissioner.
page. Couple whereases down on the second page.
Commissioner Thornton.
One of the things that I did talk to Ms. Crispat, and I know things change, everything changes, but when I was a caseworker for the Housing Authority with the resident services, I think, I don't want to say this in a demeaning way, but a lot of times these residents need supportive help, just need supportive help. You got to already anticipate that. You can't just put someone in a nice place and just leave them there. We're talking about financial literacy, we're talking about parenting. I hope that the Housing Authority will find a way to go back to those social service support services for folk to help them, not even I just hate when folk are put in any situation that you know that they're not going to thrive. We need to make sure we give them the kind of support, guidance, and referrals. And if the Housing Authority is not doing that or is not finding a way to do that, we're just going to have a beautiful building downtown because they'll go in one door and be evicted out of another. And then the victims we blame the victims. So let's not set people up for failure. Let's find out what people need and let this community get behind this because this is a big deal.
And then certainly we want to see we want to see folks live stable lives, and I think this dovetails well with the earlier housing counseling vote. So we're thinking really about a continuum of need, obviously with the ultimate goal for as many as possible home ownership. So, Commissioner Taylor?
And I will say that I did speak with new CFO, Ms. Crisp, and she did talk to us about, all of the things that Commissioner Thornton just talked about how we do have families that come from homeless situations who are placed in our public housing, who do need assistance with day-to-day things because of a variety of reasons. And so I do want to put that out there that we did speak, me, her, and Davenport for a good while. And so I do appreciate your openness and your willingness to work with residents.
Yeah, Attorney Hines.
I just want to speak briefly to the potential scripters there. Looking at it, I believe that recital is referring back to a 2019 intergovernmental agreement. So I think that number is correct, but I think, as you all know, County Attorney Drake has done the yeoman's work on this. I'll confirm with that before we move forward.
Thank you, Attorney Hines. I appreciate that. All right. We have a motion and a second on the floor. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, hearing none, motion carries. Item 13 is a resolution authorizing a settlement. Do I hear a motion for approval?
So moved.
Got a motion from Commissioner Thornton and second from Commissioner Taylor. Commissioner Thornton, any remarks?
No.
Commissioner Taylor?
Ready to vote.
Commissioner Davenport?
Motion to deny.
I've got a substitute motion from Commissioner Davenport. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, we've got a substitute motion from Commissioner Davenport.
Yeah.
And I've got a second from, apologize, I'm taking notes, Commissioner Link. Go right ahead.
Yeah, there's just a lot of issues with this settlement that a gentleman wrote on a piece of paper stating lost inventory. There was no legal representation. It was, there was no investigation. There was no discovery. There was no bank statements provided. I just think we as a commission really need to, if we really care about taxpayer funds and using taxpayer dollars, and we need to realize how we're spending it, and just this settlement alone is a slap in the face to our constituents who pay hard-earned money through their property taxes for a claim that was basically written on a piece of paper.
Commissioner Link?
I agree with Commissioner Davenport's assessment of the situation.
Any further input? All right, we'll do a roll call beginning with Commissioner Davenport.
Excuse me, can I just learn a little bit more about the process?
Commissioner Johnson?
Yes, please.
So when an initial motion is placed on the floor and seconded, there's an opportunity for a motion to be placed on top of that, which is a substitute motion. So Commissioner Davenport has made a substitute motion. It's been seconded by Commissioner Link, and so it will be voted upon first. If it passes, that's the resolution. If it fails, we return to the original motion and we do a roll call vote on that.
Okay, thank you. I was speaking more specifically about the documents that Commissioner Davenport mentioned. I would think that the county attorney is satisfied and sufficiently satisfied with what the individual presented for this case, for it to be on the agenda tonight. I'm not planning to vote for it because it was before me, but I don't see why there is concern if the county attorney's office felt that it was sufficient to move forward. There was some information that was shared.
I don't know, Attorney Hines, if you'd like to make any remarks just about the way that settlement actions work generally.
I think what I can say generally is that settlement decisions are entirely within the purview of the mayor and commission. In fact, the commission is the only entity that can enter into a settlement agreement on behalf of the unified government. While the attorney's office certainly is here to advise and provide that advice, and I believe there have been discussions privately in executive session as authorized by the Open Meetings Act, I think this status of any item on an agenda has no reflection on the attorney's office, as the attorney's office is not the attorney's office responsibility to approve items to be on the agenda.
I actually see it different. I see, not to tell you what your job is, and that's not what my motive is, and I apologize if it sounded like that in the beginning. It was more so it's the attorney's function to put something together that can be approved. We're not a part of the
settlements are one of those items that often are simply an item of decision of finality to move forward, and not simply a value statement of that it is a great settlement or that it is a preferred phenomenon, but simply that one may wish to move on to other items and close the book.
Right.
All right.
I want to close the book.
So we're going to go ahead and begin with a roll call with Commissioner Davenport.
Davenport,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Taylor,
No.
Wright,
No.
Fisher,
No.
Johnson,
Abstain?
Culpepper,
No.
Myers,
Yes.
Thornton,
No.
3 yes and 5 no.
Okay, all right, we'll return to the original motion, which was from, I apologize, Commissioner Thornton. We'll begin with Commissioner Thornton.
Yes.
All right, Davenport,
No.
Lee,
No.
Taylor,
Yes.
Wright,
Yes.
Yeah.
Fisher,
Yes.
Johnson,
Abstain?
Culpepper,
Yes.
Myers,
No.
5 yes and 3 no.
All right, motion carries. All right, moving on to item 14. Item 14, of course, was of course added to the agenda. We are sadly losing acting manager Nikki Jones to one of his former employers that his parents and his wife's parents live very close to, Raleigh, North Carolina. We've got him for a couple more weeks, and we're going to hang on, and we're going to wring every bit of sweat out of him in the next couple of weeks. And so we're glad for that. But that's going to leave us with a very important task, and that's the task of bridging the gap from this point in time to when we have a permanently installed manager. And of course, we have a great group, SGR, that's right now on the hunt for that permanent manager. But we know that just in the best of circumstances, that's going to take a few months. And of course, anybody who we acquire may have some existing employment that they have to complete before they begin with us full-time. So I am very happy that pursuant to Section 4-101A of the Charter, I am recommending Bradley A. Griffin, better known as Brad Griffin, to serve as acting manager beginning at 5:01 p.m. on January 17th, 2025, through and until May 2nd, 2025, unless extended to a date certain by mutual consent of the unified government. And Mr. Griffin, I request that you approve this recommendation and authorize me to act an employment agreement related to Mr. Griffin's service as acting manager, subject to Mr. Griffin being required to sign an employment agreement to confirm acceptance of his appointment to serve as acting manager. Under this agreement, Mr. Griffin's employment will begin on January 8th, 2025, to allow for a transition period from the current acting manager, Mr. Jones, to Mr. Griffin. So, would I hear a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Second.
All right, I've got a motion from Commissioner Wright, and I have a second from Commissioner Link. Commissioner Wright, any remarks?
Ready to vote, and I appreciate the help in this transition. It's going to be very helpful for all of us, I think.
Mr. Link?
Yes, I just want to thank Brad for being willing to take this on, and he thought he was rid of us. I guess not.
Any others? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, any opposed? All right, it's unanimous. Brad, thank you so much. We are deeply grateful for you keeping the ship of state afloat here in Athens. All right, now is that time in the meeting when we have public input on any item that was not on tonight's agenda. So if anybody would like to speak, the terms of public input are the same. There's a 3-minute opportunity, and just please provide your name and speak clearly to us about what your interest is in the next 3 minutes. You'll see the light in front of the clerk. It'll turn green when you begin speaking, yellow when you have 30 seconds remaining, and red when your time has concluded. Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor and Commission, esteemed ones. First of all, let me thank everyone who came out tonight on this historical night. Historical night. First time in Athens-Clarke County's history that we've had this many people of color as elected officials. As you make history tonight, you're here tonight and have an opportunity to be a fountain where peaceful and nurturing waters flow deep and wide for all of Athens-Clarke County, Northeast Georgia, for you are the hub. In the biblical book of John, 11th chapter, Martha said, "If you had been here, our brother would not have died." I would like to think, if you had been here, had this makeup of elected officials, been here, some of our unified charter hopes and dreams would not have died. Beginning tonight, you have the power to resurrect dreams and hopes deferred. Psalms 36, chapter 9th verse, for with thee is the fountain of life, in the light shall we see light. I pray. Ephesians 3rd chapter, 17th, 13th verse, 18th verse, I pray that you being rooted and established in love may have power together with all the Lord's holy people to grasp how wide and long and how and high and deep in the love of Christ. Finally, this elected body reflects the possibility of fair and equitable representation. Fair and equitable representation, if I can get it out. Kind of bothers me that we had to wait this long, but praise God we're here. Remember, to everything there's a season. Remember, to everything there's a season. This is your season. Remember to represent well for the season you're in. Govern well. And if anybody's curious as to what I'm referring to, I'm talking about the charter. Anybody that wants to know about the charter, call me. I don't mind putting my phone number out there, 706-254-5815. I keep it on my hip, well, in this case, in my chest pocket. And I would gladly send it to you with the area that I'm speaking of. Peace be with you. Happy New Year.
Thank you, Mr. Sheets. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Joseph Carter. I live at 231 Nacoochee Avenue, Unit 1. It's been a while. Haven't seen y'all in a long time. I want to first congratulate Commissioner Johnson for her new term and for all the re-elected commissioners. This will be the first time that I don't give Kelly a hard time, so we can be happy about that. I want to request a targeted audit of the Water Business Office's billing practices. And the reason is, back in November, I had my payments set on auto pay. For some reason, one of those payments was kicked back. My bank confirmed that it wasn't the bank. So I just turned off my auto pay. I was concerned that it wasn't. I was concerned for future problems. So I turned it off around November the 15th. A couple of weeks later, I noticed in my bank statement that the Water Business Office had pulled out $110.71 that I had not authorized. I had already turned off my auto pay. So it was an unauthorized transaction. I contacted my bank, I contacted my commissioner, several staff of what happened, and I was told that to get my money back, I would have to wait 3 to 4 weeks for a check or save it as a credit. I found that unacceptable because it was not my error. So I filed a fraud claim with my bank, and my bank went in and pulled the money back. Shortly after Christmas, I came back to Athens from being out of town, and I received in the mail a threat from the Water Business Office that they would turn off my water in 5 days if I did not remit that $110.71 plus a $20 return check fee for that amount that the county had illegally pulled from my account. That is also unacceptable. I was not going to give you all the money. I contacted my commissioner again and several people, and I, including the attorney's office, and said that I would pursue litigation if my water was turned off. So I'm asking for a targeted audit of the Water Business Office's billing practices. There are some great functions that the Water Business Office has, such as the Water Smart. It saved me several times from leaks. But I think there needs to be some very keen assessment of billing practices so that I don't experience this again and other constituents don't as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Carter. Good evening.
Good evening. Happy New Year.
Welcome, Commissioner Johnson. Welcome, welcome, big welcome. That's CCSD right there in University of Georgia, so welcome. I came to speak to you guys about the Athens anti-discrimination movement proposed.
Provide your name for the record.
Theresa Omanovich, 197 Apps Road. Athens anti-discrimination movement proposed resolution for building a path to equity in Athens for Black, Indigenous, and people of color, submitted December 4th, 2024, to Athens-Clarke County Mayor and Commission. So during Trump's first administration, the Mayor and Commission adopted a resolution in support of Athens immigrant, undocumented, and Latinx community on August 20th, 2019. And I'm not sure if this is a coincidence, but I noticed in December that, after Trump's election, that a resolution in support of the LGBT community was passed as well. So I'm here to bring to your attention that the Biden administration had at least 3 executive orders on advancing racial equality, and that there's been very little communication with MOCA on the resolution to acknowledge the continuous gaps in equitable resources distribution to BIPOC communities and reaffirm commitment to promote housing security, economic empowerment, youth safety, and marginalized communities in Athens-Clarke County, Georgia. So, Commissioner Myers, I do know that you did provide feedback, and thank you for that, but I came out to support MOCA. She asked me to come to speak, and just to make sure that this resolution is in fact, a priority, and that it makes it to the January 21st agenda setting meeting, and then for a vote in February. And then I did have some information for you, Commissioner Thornton, regarding the Jacobs contract, if you would like it. It is Scope A from the June 2021 contract for SPLOST 2020. That Scope A included the reestablishment of the MBE, the WMBE program. There was a budget set for $187,000 in that $7.3+ million contract. So that was the information that you guys were looking for earlier. So I support the resolution. Hope you guys get with Ms. Johnson soon to get this done. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Manovich. Good evening.
Hello, good evening. Broderick Flanagan, P.O. Box 295, Athens, Georgia. Happy New Year, everyone. I too want to offer congratulations to the new commissioner-elect, Commissioner Johnson. Congratulations on that, as well as the commissioners who were sworn in for re-election. But I too want to also just speak to some of the disparity in the community, as well as because we have these 5 commissioners of color now, or Black commissioners, just a word of caution, to make sure that, you all work together and you all are on the same page and avoid the division that happens sometimes in some of these community spaces. Over my years of being involved with the community and in politics, I've heard different stories from different commissioners, and sometimes that's what drives the division, because certain people don't know what's going on or understand certain processes. And so, and also just want to be mindful of not reinventing or reusing tools of oppression because you don't understand certain things that could potentially be harmful to our community or to the Black community. And I know you serve more than just the Black community, that is understood. At the same time, there are things that can be done to foster more equity and inclusion, like previous speakers spoke about. The disparity study is just one of them. I'm working with the Clarke County School District on their advisory team to explore ways that we can bring more procurement and disparity in those areas. And so I'm grateful for the opportunity to be at the table in those discussions, but the Clarke County government put it in the GOC or the operations committee, but I haven't seen any tangible things come out of that work yet. We got SPLOST coming up, we got all this money that we're spending. There could be a policy on community benefits agreements that could be instituted for some of these TAB projects and programs that could include some kind of labor provisions or labor standards. And I'm also want to just speak briefly to the disappointment in voting against the raises for the neighborhood leaders. If we say we support housing and we support certain people working, even if the program is not in perpetuity, that 3% raise still would have been important for those families that were affected. those were mostly black women in those positions. About 80 to 85% of those positions were black women. You know, the cost of living is going up. You know, for this body to have those employees and then say one time, on one hand, you support affordable housing. Well, income is tied to affordable housing. The HUD definition says your housing should be no more than 30% of your income, but you're voting against raises for a population of people who are in the position y'all talking about, y'all care about. And so I just want us to be careful and be mindful when we're moving and strategizing and planning and thinking about ways to impact our community moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Flanagan. Any other general remarks for the body? All right. Just a couple of quick notes before we hear from commissioners. The standing committees, kind of for the ongoing commissioners, will remain the same, and Commissioner Johnson will serve on the LRC, Legislative Review Committee. Is there any report from the manager?
Yes, sir. So as far as a budget transfer, $774, just want to make note of that. And also, you know, I'll take this time to say thank you to the commissioners, mayor, staff. Really appreciate my time here and have enjoyed every minute of it. And I have to thank the community as well, because not being from Georgia and coming to Georgia almost 4 years ago, we've made a lot of friends. And I've learned that Georgians are very much like North Carolinians, very welcoming. So the community has welcomed us. I can't say thank you so much for that, because coming to a new place, that was hard, but coming to Athens was pretty easy. So we're going to miss Athens dearly. It's bittersweet. I get to be closer to my parents, be a good son, take care of them, but we're leaving a place that, you know, is super special. It's funny, and I've told this story to many of you guys before. Since we moved here, we'll go across the state and we'll tell folks where we're from. We'll say Athens. And I swear people's eyes just light up as soon as you say that. So this is a special place, not just here, but to folks all over Georgia. So I say that to say, you know, we have a responsibility to take care of this place, because it is a special place. And you, commissioners, staff, and residents, we all play a role in that. And I hope when I come back sometime very soon, it will be just as special. Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate your time with us, Nick. We want to give you a round of applause. You make a lot of special relationships when you do community service work, and I don't think there's any sharper, more thoughtful, and more well-directed public servant than Nikki Jones. Anything from the attorney's office?
Go.
Anything from the Office of Operational Analysis? All right, thank you. All right, we'll go to commission reports. We'll begin with Commissioner Thornton and conclude with Commissioner Davenport, who will, at the end of his time, adjourn us.
First of all, Happy New Year to everybody. I'm looking for a prosperous 2025. I want to thank all the speakers that came out. Welcome aboard, new folk. You're going to have to get beat up like the rest of us now, okay? So, there were a couple of things that stood out in the comments, and I think Joey mentioned about the water department. And I sent all of you a text about another disturbing situation that happened to a customer of the water department. And we already agreed that we weren't going to give Brad no new additional work, but I think this needs to be looked in immediately, because those are two different incidences that came back to back. The other thing I think I heard Ms. Daniels again talked about housing. I don't know why we got to go through all of these hoops, but I do want to continue to push forward, because until we see housing that different incomes can afford, the 80% AMI, below AMI, the missing middle, the millionaires, we are still not doing our job. We should not be, everybody, it's not right to just say housing is a problem everywhere. That is just an excuse, in my opinion. We should be setting the pace and leading the way on housing and getting creative. And that's going to mean working with just not nonprofits, but we're going to have to work with home builders, banks. We've got to be inclusive if we want to solve this housing problem. The question is that what we want to do? That's what I would like to do. So the water bill, housing, and there was somebody else that spoke that I wanted to address, but I can't think of who it was. And I do thank Ms. Theresa for the explanation on the Jacobs situation, and I hope you'll follow. Oh, I know what I wanted to say. We really probably need to look at these TADs. I know it's in our LRC committee, but we really need to look at these TADs. We do not have one successful case of the TADs. We do not even have one successful case of inclusionary zoning. We really got to take this year and figure out what we need to do to support the taxpayers in Athens. Right now, we're facing, what is it, House Bill 581? Is that with the homestead exemption? I mean, we're already going to lose a portion of our general funds because we're investing in the TADs. Now we're going to be having, I want my mortgage, I want my thing to go down, so I ain't fighting about that, y'all. But we've got to figure out how we do TADs plus deal with the homestead exemptions and still make sure taxpayers are getting the services that they need. I hope that these are the things we talk about at the retreat. So I was really trying to be very positive, so I hope you took it that way. We're just setting some goals, okay? Just setting some goals. So, but thank you, Happy New Year. Welcome aboard, Commissioner Johnson. Glad to have you on.
Commissioner Myers?
Yeah, I wanted to have a couple of comments here. Just on some of the comments that came up at the end, I want to thank for all the people who come at the end and speak to us. I actually have a review of the charter, reading the charter on my to-do list, and I think it's really important for us to address basic county services like water, so I'm glad we know when there are problems. The resolution that Teresa spoke about, if anyone wants to work with me on that, I had talked to Mocha Johnson, who had reached out to us with that, and so I've been in communication with her, but I welcome anyone else, and I'll share that. I'll share an email later this week with everyone on that one. I wanted to also congratulate Commissioner Johnson, and I'm chairing the Legislative Review Committee that you're joining, so hopefully we can get together and I can give you a little fill-in on that. I want to thank the UGA student government. I wasn't necessarily, I'm not really an early riser, so it wasn't that early getting over there at 9 o'clock this morning for that breakfast. But it took a little effort on my part, but I really appreciated that. That's one of the best things about being commissioner is all the interactions you can have with people in the community, and especially with the young people as well. It was just a really good way to start this new term in office. I just put together something out about a District 8 Town Hall that I'm organizing the second Tuesday in February, which will be at the Firehouse in the evening. I'll send out more information on that, but hope to talk about traffic, basically it's a residential traffic management, which for most people means speed bumps and such, and also potential T-SPLOST 2026 projects. And finally, I just want to thank our interim manager, Nikki Jones, as well. He said, you just said you've been here 4 years, which is the same amount of time I've been in office. And in my position as LRC chair, I've worked more closely with him. I appreciate your insights, your expertise, and it's so clear you care so much about Athens, and it's been a hard decision for you to leave, but I want you to know that we appreciate your work And many of us, probably all of us, have learned a lot from your perspective as well. So thank you. And good luck.
Commissioner Culpepper.
Yes, I would like to thank Nikki for everything he's done for the county. I've really enjoyed working with you, and you've been on top of everything we've ever asked. Well, I greatly appreciate that. I know we throw a lot of things at you, and you haven't complained one bit. You've gotten to it, and you've followed up on everything. And thank you. Brad, he's left some big shoes for you to fill, but I think you can do it. I'd like to welcome Commissioner Johnson. I look forward to working with you. I'm excited about what 2025 and holds for this body. We've got some tough decisions, some tough fiscal decisions to make, and we need to keep in mind that we need to be good stewards of taxpayer money and try to spend wisely and focus on infrastructure. We've got some issues. We've got to figure out how to, for some funding on the Classic Center. I look forward to working with this group on that, of how to get everything straightened out on the arena. But Happy New Year. I know New Year's Day was a tough loss for the dogs, but we'll be back. And I wanted to let the student, UGA student that was injured on New Year's Eve in New Orleans, that we're praying for her and hope for a speedy recovery.
Thank you. Commissioner Johnson.
Happy New Year, everyone. I want to thank everyone that came out this evening. I see so many family, friends, church members. I just want to say thank you. I want to express my deepest gratitude to those who entrusted me with their vote. Just as important, I want to acknowledge those who did not vote for me. I understand our community is diverse, and not everyone sees Athens the same, and that's okay. My goal is to work for you all. As a newly elected commissioner, my goal is simple: to create a better District 6 and overall Athens community. I am committed to putting people over politics every single day. I believe in making decisions that reflect the best interests of the residents, and engagement and open dialogue with the community will be the cornerstone of my approach. I also want to take a moment to express my deepest gratitude to my campaign team, who worked tirelessly and passionately to help me get here today. To my family, thank you for coming out tonight, and thank you for always being my rock. Your love and encouragement helped me continue through the journey of campaigning. And last, to my husband, thank you. You have been my biggest supporter, my sounding board, and my partner through this entire process. Your unwavering love, patience, and sacrifice mean more to me than words can express. I could not truly have done this without you. And for my new colleagues behind the rail, I am looking forward to working and collaborating with you to build a stronger, more vibrant, and engaged Athens-Clarke County. I may be a new face here, at least in this role, but I don't want to become an unfamiliar face. For those of you in my district, you know I ran a platform on transparency, accountability, and most important, accessibility. So I want to leave my information for you to contact me as you so need to. My new email address is stephanie.johnson@accgov.com. My website address is steph46, that's STEPHFOR, and the number 6.com. You can reach me out on social media. I have a Facebook and Instagram. I will be planning a District 6 town hall for later this quarter, so be sure to connect with me to stay engaged. District 6, thank you so much for the opportunity to serve you. Good luck, Nikki Jones, and welcome, Brad. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Fisher.
Thank you, Mayor, and Happy New Year to everyone. First of all, I want to thank my colleagues for nominating me and selecting me as the Mayor Pro Tem. I will do my best to fill that role and work very closely with the mayor as we move to 2025. And I'm excited about where we're going in the direction. I want to keep a positive tone of what we're going to accomplish this year. And we do have a lot of things we need to do. And I think if we collaborate and work together, I think we can get a lot done. I'm looking forward to that. Nikki, thank you so very much. I mean, I guess the last month we spent a lot of time together. had a lot of good discussions about stuff. You know, I went to school in North Carolina, so we talked about things in that state and things like that. So thank you for what you have done. And to our staff, Athens-Clarke County government staff, they do a great job for us, and we probably don't give them enough credit. I want to really, really thank them. And again, to my colleagues, let's roll our sleeves up. Let's do the work of the people that we've been elected to. Let's just have a great year for 2025. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Commissioner Taylor.
I want to thank all of the community for coming out. Welcome newly elected Commissioner Johnson, as well as all of my colleagues who were also sworn in. Nikki, you're bouncing on my birthday, and so we're going to get through it. we're going to get through it. I appreciate the growth that I have experienced a part of this body and seeing my colleagues grow. I'm really excited to see what 2025 brings for Athens-Clarke County, so, yeah.
Thank you. Commissioner Link.
Yeah, welcome back, everyone. I want to thank my constituents for voting me into office again. It's effectively been my 5th election, I believe. It's good to be back. We're facing some interesting times, and I hope we can all work together to face them and protect our community. I want to let everyone know I'm having a town hall for my constituents in District 2 on January the 23rd. That's a Thursday evening. We'll be doing it at the First AME Church Community Room. I'll be putting out some more information about that in the next couple days. But we're primarily going to focus on the issues that are facing our in-town neighborhoods, which I hear about all the time. A lot of them are due to student gentrification and parking, the single-family housing ordinance, noise, traffic, issues such as that, and we'll have multiple staff people there to explain some of the issues like our residential traffic management program and what exactly our single-family housing ordinance entails, and who controls parking. ACCPD is in charge of some things, whereas code enforcement is in charge of other things. So hopefully we'll get a lot of that straightened out and clear up some confusion. And get some guidance as we face our future land use plan revisions. And I just want to also say goodbye to Nikki in the next couple weeks. It's been such a pleasure working with you and getting to know you. I feel like you've become a friend as well, fellow ECU pirate. We're going to miss you a lot. I have lots of friends up there in the Raleigh-Durham area, and I know you will serve them well. They're lucky to have you, and I know how important it is to be near your parents at this stage of life, and I wish you all the luck. So thank you.
Thanks, Commissioner. Commissioner Davenport.
Nikki, run. Don't look back. Just run. But it's been a pleasure working with you. Thank you. I like you, how you manage. You'll be a great gift for the North Carolinians. But heed those words. Happy 2025 to all the newly elected people. I'm so proud to see so many black and brown leadership in this room today who were elected and who are in high position. That is great for this great city. And also, I just want us to, as a collective body, to think about West Broad. I know we just voted on GDOT doing a project on West Broad, but there have been too many fatalities on West Broad, and we really need to take great consideration on Vision Zero as well as improving the safety. Because there's a project we just approved. We really need to prohibit people from doing illegal crossings because we don't need to lose another life off of West Broad anymore. And let's see, what is this? And welcome back, Brian Griffin, and hopefully get some few rounds of golf in and retreat. When we were hosting, when we were at CCSD, we put on hold hopefully I articulate this right, we put on hold how many minutes public comments were going to be made, and we're supposed to talk about that during our Greenville retreat. So maybe at our January 24th retreat, we can revisit public comments if the body so chooses. But, and also I'm doing an additional one town hall. It would be via Zoom, and congratulations. And we're gonna talk about preserving the east side, because a lot of people, there's a growing interest, there's a growing talk of folks wanting to do away with the the single family zone, and I'm against that. I'm 100% against that. But, because it just gentrifies the neighborhood and increases more student housing. And I have a lot of residents who are very concerned about that, because my district is mostly, retirees and stuff. So, and also, keep in mind, Body, that the future land use map will be done in June, around that time, and that's very important. And then we have the comprehensive space allocation study that we do as well as this fall, as well as our pay study as well. So just keep those in the back of your mind. But congratulations to Fisher, and motion to adjourn.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
All right, got a motion from Commissioner Davenport to adjourn, second from Commissioner Thornton. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, Happy New Year, everyone. Have a great evening.